Today, we are tackling one of the most iconic and controversial stories in the Bible. You know the story. God floods the earth, Noah builds a massive boat, and saves 2 of every animal. It's a tale told in Sunday schools around the world. But here's the thing, when you actually stop and think about it, the story of Noah's Ark raises some really difficult questions. Like, how do you fit millions of species on one boat? Where did all that water come from? And how did 8 people take care of thousands of animals for an entire year? These aren't just skeptical gotcha questions, they are legitimate concerns that people of faith, scholars, and scientists have wrestled with for centuries. And today, we're not shying away from them. So whether you're a believer with doubts, a skeptic seeking answers, or just curious, stick around. Let's explore the hard questions of Noah's Ark together. Let's start with the most obvious question: how do you fit all the animals on the ark? According to Genesis, the ark was 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. That's roughly 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. That's big, sure. About the size of a football field standing on end. But here's the problem. Scientists estimate there are currently around 8.7 million species of plants and animals on Earth. And that's today. That doesn't include extinct species like dinosaurs. Now, creationists argue that Noah didn't need every species, just every kind, which could be broader categories. But even then, we're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands of animals. And wait, it gets more complicated. God told Noah to take 7 pairs of clean animals and only 2 pairs of unclean animals. How did Noah know which was which? This was before the law of Moses, before kosher dietary laws. What was the criteria? And let's not forget, insects, microorganisms, parasites. Did Noah need 2 of every bacteria? Every virus? Every tapeworm? Researchers point out that Noah would have had to identify hundreds of thousands of microorganism species per week without even having a microscope. The logistics are staggering, to say the least. Okay, so let's say Noah somehow got all the animals on board. Now we have to deal with the flood itself. Genesis says the flood covered all the high mountains under the entire heaven. That includes Mount Everest, 29,000 feet above sea level. So where did all that water come from? The Bible mentions 2 sources. First, the fountains of the Great Deep burst forth, underground water sources exploding upward. Second, the windows of the heavens were opened, rain falling for 40 days and 40 nights. But here's the issue, there's not enough water in Earth's atmosphere to cover the mountains, even if it all fell as rain. And where did the water go afterward? The water cycle doesn't just make water disappear. And what about the animals that live in fresh water versus salt water? A global flood would have mixed all the oceans and freshwater sources together, creating a brackish mess. Most fish would die. So was there a separate miracle for the fish? The text doesn't say. Some scholars propose this was a local flood, massive, devastating, but regional to Mesopotamia. But the text seems pretty clear that it covered the whole earth. So which is it? Let's talk about the daily reality on the ark. 8 people, Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. That's it. And they're responsible for thousands, possibly tens of thousands, of animals for over a year. Think about what that means. Feeding, different animals need different diets. Herbivores, carnivores, insectivores, frugivores. Some need fresh food, some eat only specific plants. Where did Noah store all this food? How did they keep it from spoiling? Waste management, this is the unglamorous question nobody asks in Sunday school. Animals produce a lot of waste. We are talking tons of manure every single day. 8 people would have to shovel, clean, and manage this constantly. The ammonia levels alone would be toxic. Disease, close quarters, stress, mixed species, this is a recipe for disease outbreak. How did they prevent epidemics? What about parasites? Did every animal stay healthy for a year? Specialized care, some animals need specific temperature, humidity, light conditions. How did they maintain that on an ancient wooden boat? Now, some apologists suggest the animals hibernated. That would help. But hibernation isn't just sleep, it requires specific biological conditions, and not all animals can hibernate. And what about parasites? Did they hibernate too? The truth is, 8 people caring for this many animals is, well, it seems humanly impossible. This brings us to one of the biggest debates: was this a global flood or a local flood? If it was global, covering the entire earth, then we have massive problems. Because civilization never stopped. Ancient Egypt was building pyramids. Mesopotamia had thriving cities like Uruk. China's Shang dynasty was developing. These civilizations show no evidence of a catastrophic global flood that wiped out all humanity. The archaeological record is continuous. There's no gap where all human activity stops and then restarts. So some scholars propose, what if this was a local flood? Massive, devastating, but confined to the Mesopotamian region. From Noah's perspective, it would have seemed like the whole world was flooded. The language could be phenomenological, describing how it appeared, not necessarily global in a modern scientific sense. But here's the theological problem: if it's just a local flood, then God's judgment wasn't as comprehensive as the text suggests. And what about people living in the Americas, Asia, Africa? Were they spared? The text says God wiped out all humanity except Noah's family. This creates a real tension between what the text says and what the evidence shows. Which brings us to our final hard question: where's the evidence? People have been searching for Noah's Ark for centuries. The most popular site is in eastern Turkey near Mount Ararat. There's even a formation called the Durupina site that some claim is the Ark. Soil samples there do contain organic matter different from the surrounding area. But mainstream archaeologists and geologists say it's just a natural formation. Despite dozens of expeditions, satellite imagery, ground searches, no one has found definitive proof of the Ark. And then there's the genetic problem. If all humans descend from just 8 people 4,000–5,000 years ago, we should see very little genetic diversity. But human DNA shows tremendous variation that would take far longer to develop. The fossil record also presents challenges. If a global flood occurred, we'd expect to find mixed fossils, land and sea creatures jumbled together. Instead, we see orderly layers with clear progression over millions of years. Now, some argue the evidence exists but we're interpreting it wrong. Others say faith doesn't require physical proof. But the question remains, if this was a real, historical, global event, where's the evidence? Look, I'm not here to give you easy answers. The story of Noah's Ark raises legitimate, difficult questions that honest people wrestle with. Some believers embrace a literal, global flood and trust that God miraculously handled the logistics. Others see it as a theological story teaching truth about God's judgment and mercy, without requiring strict scientific literalism. Still others propose hybrid theories: local flood, reduced animal kinds, divine intervention. What I want to leave you with is this: it's okay to have questions. Faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about wrestling with the hard stuff while staying open to mystery, to wonder, to the possibility that we don't have everything figured out. The rainbow in the story isn't just a sign of God's promise, it's also a reminder that after the storm comes clarity, beauty, and a fresh start. Whatever you believe about the Ark, that's a message worth holding on to. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going. And if you appreciated this honest exploration, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into faith, history, and the hard questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.